morning, everyone, and welcome. I'm so happy that you're here to celebrate Mom today. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Chuck. I'm Katie's son. On December 1st, 1923, Catherine Katie Rorick was born at home in Napoleon, North Dakota with the aid of a midwife. She was the seventh of a family of 14. She was the first to graduate from high school in her family. The first year after graduation, Mom worked at home helping her mother with the kids. It was then she decided she needed to do something else rather than work on the farm. So she enrolled in college and went to Minot Teachers College. She boarded a bus, went about 200 miles to get there. When she stepped off, she had never been to Minot before, didn't know a soul there, and didn't have a place to stay that night. But things worked out though. Mom would always say, my guardian angel was watching over me. Mom returned home with a teacher's degree. She got a job teaching in a rural school, a one-room school, grades 1 to 8, for which she was paid $50 a month. She stayed with students' families during the school year. And that was during the war, so the government was issuing food stamps, which she gladly shared with the families. On August 17, 1946, Catherine Rorick and Walter Bauer were married. For the first 8 years together, they started a family, and Dad did sharecropping and also some trucking, while Mom was busy raising the kids. In 1954, an opportunity arose to purchase a farm. It was 12 miles out of the town of Steele. It was nothing more than a plot of land, a broken down barn and farmhouse, which had no running water, no insulation in the house, and a pot-bellied stove for heat. With their 4 kids between 1 and 7, they began their new life. Mom worked tirelessly. In addition to taking care of us kids, cooking and cleaning, she also helped Dad out in the farm with feeding cattle and raising livestock in the winter. Also milking cows at first by hand. So, because they worked so hard, we, as kids, were expected to pull some weight. So early on, we were all assigned tasks. Baby sister Carol's job was to sit on Dad's lap, look cute, and smile coyly at us. My brother Don and I, in between strong differences of opinions, were in charge of taking care of the farm truck. And of course, my oldest sister, Susan, being very self-motivated, became the go-to girl in charge of table etiquette. Growing up on the farm, my favorite day of the week was Sunday. That was the day when we didn't have to work. We never worked on Sunday. And the season would be summertime. A typical Sunday morning would be, Don and I would go out and we would milk the cows, and we would come in then and get cleaned up, put on our Sunday clothes. Then we'd drive to church in Steele. We attended St. Francis de Sales Church. After that, we'd come home, we'd have the afternoon to do what we wanted. In those days, families visited one another, went visiting. So we enjoyed that, but I think the highlight of it would be when our cousins from town came out. They thought they died and went to heaven because they got to play with farm animals, we hide in the haystacks, and they knew they were going to get one of Mom's epic meals. My favorite meal that Mom made was fresh fried chicken, crispy and golden brown, which she had raised from day old and processed herself. Along with all the garden vegetables she raised, including baby potatoes, loose leaf lettuce with her own creamy dressing. And Mom always said it's never a meal without a piece of bread in your hand. So she would always supply either make fresh baked bread or homemade buns. Add that to the end of dessert, which was my favorite was a signature rhubarb pie with a big scoop of freshly whipped cream on top of it. All this food was cage-free, antibiotic-free, and grown within organically 200 feet from the house. So you could say Mom was basically really ahead of the curve on being environmentally sound. About 10 years after all of the kids had graduated, that'd be about 1981, my parents moved to town, retired and moved to town. It was at that time Mom really flourished, growing closer to friends and family and doing volunteer work for both church and community. Both her and Dad enjoyed going on short trips with their motorhome, but their highlight would be to go visit the grandkids, either in Minnesota with Mike and Susan and Carol and Gary, or to Alaska where Don and his family and myself lived for 10 years. In fact, they made 6 trips up to visit us while we were there. In 1995, they moved to Monticello, where all 4 of us siblings were living at the time. After Dad passed away in '98, Mom shifted from caregiving mode to concentrating a little more on herself. And during that time, she made friends and volunteered in the church. She also took some trips, some of which I would name with. She went to Chicago, New York, Washington, D.C., Phoenix, Albuquerque, and LA, just to name a few. And she also went to 2 of her grandkids' destination weddings, one in Acapulco, Mexico, and one in Honolulu, Hawaii. On her 80th birthday, she took the whole family to Las Vegas to celebrate her birthday. Mom's mental acuity was nothing short of amazing. She could name dates, names, birthdays, anniversaries, and took care of all our checkbook finances. She subscribed to 3 hometown newspapers and also the Star Tribune. Just as an example, one day Mike, her son-in-law, came in and she said to him, "Oh, Scott," which was his son, "Scott sold his house in Richfield." And Mike like, "No, he hasn't had that house for 10 years. And then she clarified and said, "Well, no, it sold again." Not only could Mom tell many interesting stories, she was also a good listener and made it a point to send cards, notes, and make phone calls to keep in touch with family and friends. As you probably most of you knew her can attest to. Over the course of her lifetime, Mom made many new friends that covered the spectrum of age. In fact, she was even charming the nurses and staff in her last day at the hospital. Mom placed high importance on her family and loved the little ones dearly. Mother's faith was deep and unwavering. One of her last statements was, "I'm ready for God's kingdom." In a homily a few weeks ago, Deacon John said that in order to attain that goal of going to God's kingdom, simply stated, one must do corporal works of mercy, love thy neighbor, and love God with heart and soul. Yes, Mom. We miss you. We will never forget you. But we are so happy that you are now in God's kingdom.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jessica. I'm Carol and Gary's daughter, and Katie was my grandma. Thank you for being here to celebrate my grandma today. I've had some time to reflect on the woman that I knew as grandma, and I hope that you enjoy hearing just a little bit more about her and what she meant to those around her. First, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge the number 99. Grandma Katie spent 99 beautiful years on this earth. Just think about everything that she endured during those 99 years. My Uncle Chuck just spoke wonderfully to some of those things. So many successes, so many challenges, and so many changes. I just think about technology and how I was able to introduce her to things like Google Maps when we were going places. We took selfies together, and I even FaceTimed with her during the pandemic, which she thought was really cool. A little search on Google revealed that the number 99 is said to be a powerful symbol of destiny, completion, and perfection. It's often associated with the achievement of goals, and it can also indicate that an important thing is coming to an end. How appropriate. She left us at 99 years old. She had truly reached the age of perfection. The same Google search made me curious about what her name means. In searching, I found that Catherine comes from the Greek word meaning pure. We can define pure as being clear and true. She was clear and true in her convictions. She was clear and true in her relationships with family and friends, and she was clear and true in her faith. She lived a life truly pure-hearted in all of her endeavors, and it turns out that the meaning of Catherine embodied who she was, and there couldn't have been a more perfect name chosen for her. Grandma Katie had an impact in so many of our lives. I took the opportunity to ask some of the people closest to her to describe her in one word, and here's what they said. Generous, gentle, valiant, creative, unique, resilient, independent, which she was, exquisite, strong, queen, matriarch, and believer. I was blessed to make so many memories with her, and it's impossible for me to summarize all of them. And I'm so grateful that those memories are with me of all the times that we shared. And here's just a couple of my favorite ones. She was truly a grandma to everyone she met. My friends and many people outside of our family refer to her as Grandma Katie. Even a little girl who lived below her in our apartment complex would always run up to visit with her, and Grandma just loved it. If she found out your birthday, you were sure to land a spot on her wall calendar alongside of the temperature and weather recording for that date. And surely a card would be sent in the mail with her impeccable handwriting. I loved going to visit with her and Grandpa in Steele, North Dakota to celebrate holidays with all of my aunts, uncles, and cousins. I was also able to spend time in the summer driving around Steele and picking choke cherries from the bush down the street. We'd go to church and tap in on Saturday night and drive out to the Big D for chicken I've tried to perfect the recipe. However, it's tough when there is no recipe and you're told to add a spoon of this and a dash of that. And that reminds me of her Christmas cutout recipe, which reads about 5.5 cups of flour. I often ask her what about meant, and I was just told that I needed to add it slowly. I remember completely ruining the first couple of batches I attempted on my own and giving her a call and asking for tips. Because I added exactly 5.5 cups of flour. Don't worry, Grandma. After many attempts, I think I have it done now. And the trick is to add it slowly so that it's not too sticky, and it's not too sticky or not sticky enough. She also drilled into me to not waste any of the dough. It must be re-rolled until the very end, which results in a massive amount of cutout cookies to frost. I had the opportunity to spend many afternoons with her while on break from my summer job. We had a little routine when I would come in. We discussed happenings around her apartment complex. She could tell you if a neighbor moved a flower pot on their front step an inch. Can you say neighborhood watch committee party of one? I'd settle in for a rest while she watched an afternoon talk show, and she would wake me by saying, "Jessica, you better get up, you're gonna be late." Even though I had ample time to get ready. And then we would eat dinner together, which was often chicken and wild rice soup on a 90-degree day in what felt like her 90-degree apartment. It's pretty surreal to be standing here today, as I used to say to my husband that Grandma had 9 lives. She's one of the most resilient and strong women that I know. And I can't tell you how many times I received a call that she was in the hospital, and how many times I thought to myself that she would be leaving us, only to be proved wrong by her determination to return home. She survived and rebounded from infections, falls, a fire in her apartment, and broken bones to return home to live independently almost until the very end. She loved being in the spotlight and attention. I mean, just look at the blizzard she threw our way last Thursday, which resulted in rescheduling her final celebration. She was the talk of the town. She loved to dress up, get her hair done, and she was often told, "There is no way that you are 99 years old." It brought a sparkle to her eye and it made her chuckle. She had the most beautiful singing voice. Her sense of humor was with her until the very end, when she told a nurse at Quiet Oaks Hospice House, "You know, I am the queen." She smiled and closed her eyes. Grandma, life without you will feel empty for a long time. But just like your persistence in life, I know you will send us regular signs of your endearing spirit watching over us, like the cardinals outside of the window shortly after your passing. God looked around his garden and found an empty space. He looked down upon this earth and saw your tired face. He put his arms around you and lifted you to rest. God's garden must be beautiful. He only takes the best. Rest in peace, my sweet Grandma. As one of my cousins so eloquently stated, you will forever be our family treasure.